It's just days until Christmas, my friends. And in the spirit of the season, can we all just find charity in our hearts, the divine mercy of the little baby Jesus, the kind forgiveness and patience that all Star Wars fans must learn while Disney has control of the franchise. You know, it is a wonderful life, and we have our own George Bailey. His name is Jon Kasdan, screenwriter of the feculent SOYLO, A SOY Wars Story. Can we forgive Jon? What's he thinking tonight? Hard not to wonder how Solo might have fared if it had come out tonight, rather than May, I assume. Hard not to wonder how Jon Kasdan, an adult and a writer, could use the wrong version of fared. But I'm not here to relearn Jon 4th grade English. I'm here to invite you, the Star Wars fan, to help me disabuse Jon Kasdan of the notion that the only reason SOYLO, A SOY Wars Story bombed at the box office and in Blu-ray and DVD sales was because it came out in May rather than December. Not true. The movie bombed because it was excrement. And not only that, you told families that Lando Calrissian was a pervert. That couldn't have helped, and it wouldn't have helped in the Christmas season either. But it doesn't matter. Disney Star Wars has been in decline since The Force Awakens. Want proof? Let's look at the DVD and Blu-ray sales together. Merry Christmas. Hey, if you're enjoying the content, please subscribe. We've got lots more coming up for you this week. Thanks. Yeah, it's Comic Artist Pro Secrets, and I'm Ethan Van Sciver, 25-year veteran of the comic book industry, great big Star Wars fan. Are you worried about Disney? Are you worried about Disney Star Wars? Are you worried about Lucasfilm and all of the employees thereof? Well, perhaps you should be. Star Wars is very much in decline right now. It is at a slope. Its absolute value is enormous. It is a steep decline. And there is no shortage of people to blame this on. I could blame it on 6 or 7 different people. I'd like to blame it mostly on Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy is definitely responsible for the disgrace that Star Wars has become in the last few years. It's not as if we didn't give her a chance. It's not as if people didn't initially approach Kathleen, the Force's female Kennedy, with good faith. Star Wars The Force Awakens is still one of, if not the biggest movie of all time. It would have to be. Everybody wanted Star Wars to come back. Since then, however, it hasn't been doing so good. Since The Last Jedi especially. Now, the sales of The Last Jedi on DVD were only about 56% of The Force Awakens. Now, that's severe. I don't know why. There's no explanation. There's no sales explanation for why The Last Jedi, which is just another sequel, it's just another Star Wars movie, it should be the equal and equivalent of The Force Awakens. There's no other reason why The Last Jedi should only earn 56% of the DVD sales of The Force Awakens. Unless we just all acknowledge that it was crap, and it was terrible, and that people hated it. I'm ready to acknowledge that. Are you? Is Disney? Is Rian Johnson? Absolutely not. Now, just to compare how awful the sales of The Last Jedi were, okay? And then, this is going to lead to Solo. Just using after 17 weeks. After 17 weeks, okay, The Force Awakens DVD sales were $127.8 million. After 17 weeks, The Last Jedi's DVD and Blu-ray sales were at $67.95 million. And it had gone down to only 52% of The Force Awakens, compared to the 56% of the first week. First week is when everybody is going to buy the DVD. Obviously, everybody's waiting for it to come out. People who intend to purchase the DVD, who are motivated to buy it, are definitely going to buy it in the first week. Now, you may make excuses for The Force Awakens. Maybe it came out while everybody was on a fishing trip. Maybe they just forgot. But certainly by the second week, the third week, they should have picked up the DVD. No, the DVD sales actually declined to equal only 52% of The Force Awakens. But we aren't done. The Force Awakens was at 7th place for sales after 17 weeks. So on its 17th week, on the charts, it was at 7th place in terms of sales. It should have been dead. It should have been over. Any other movie would fall off of the charts, but not a Star Wars movie like The Force Awakens. Meanwhile, The Last Jedi was at 20th place on its 7th week. To make Last Jedi sales even worse, while it was at 20th place after 17 weeks, selling $220,000, The Force Awakens was at 19th place and selling $481,000 after 90 weeks. That's almost 2 years. That's almost 2 years after its release in the movie theaters, okay? That is how much people hated The Last Jedi. And by the way, it's quite possible that The Last Jedi actually killed The Force Awakens DVD sales momentum, because those sales, after 90 weeks, that was before The Last Jedi even came out. There's no telling what the consequences of Rian Johnson's idiotic Star Wars The Last Jedi, Star Wars Episode 8, actually did to the entire franchise. The only way that we can really look at the consequences of Rian Johnson's perfidy and stupidity is to go forward and look at SOYLO, a SOY WARS story, written by John Kasdan. It's important to note that John Kasdan's SOYLO, a SOY WARS story, was the first Disney film to actually lose money. They lost money. They lost $80 million, and they were hoping, Disney was hoping, that the DVD sales would actually make them break even. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. SOYLO, in its first week of Blu-ray sales, sold $16 million. That's well under the $100 million that they were hoping for. It's 20% of The Force Awakens original sales. The decline is so steep, it's so sad. Some people say that the sequel always does less than the first film, and while the numbers check out, Blu-ray sales that doesn't apply to Blu-ray sales. People want to collect everything. Looking at DVD sales of both The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones shows that they were fairly close. Attack of the Clones did not see a 50% drop in sales like The Last Jedi did from The Force Awakens. It was closer to about a 12% drop. The Empire Strikes Back was also very close to A New Hope sales when it comes to the DVD releases, and also, I'm sure, VHS. I would love to go back and look at VHS in the 1980s. Only The Force Awakens saw a drop in sales this large with its sequel. By the way, Wonder Woman had a far smaller box office, 62% of The Last Jedi, but had $78 million in Blu-ray sales after 17 months. That means that The Last Jedi has 87% of the Blu-ray sales of Wonder Woman. Do you understand? Wonder Woman beat Star Wars. Now, Wonder Woman was a good movie, but for goodness sakes, the complete three-dimensional picture of The Last Jedi's failure should be alarming to everyone, not just Disney, the fans as well. Now, in addition, they said SOYLO would make a profit after Blu-ray sales, possibly. They did lose that $80 million. Let's just imagine for 1 minute that Disney got 25% of DVD and Blu-ray sales as pure profit after the cost of making and marketing each unit. They would need at least $320 million worth of sales just to get the money that they would need at that rate to break even on the movie. Now, even at a profit margin of 50%, it would need to earn 25% of what The Force Awakens did, and it won't get that. I mean, obviously, that's amazing. In fact, considering all three films see similar gross in sales month to month, SOYLO is likely to end 90 weeks at around $50 million total, okay, in DVD and Blu-ray sales. So even if they had a magical 100% of profits, that's like, it costs nothing to make the DVDs, it costs nothing to market the DVDs, and by the way, the store gets $0, just send all of that money over to Disney. How does that sound, Disney? Does that sound like a good plan? Yeah. Even if that were the case, SOYLO would still be around $30 million under. SOYLO is going to lose money. It is a catastrophe. Even at the Christmas season, John Kasdan, nobody wants this movie. This was a bad movie, a bad idea from the start. It was executed poorly. It was marketed like it was made of pure garbage, and people treated it as such. So I just want to say to you, happy holidays. Don't worry about it. Take this weight off your shoulders. It wouldn't have mattered, John. It wouldn't have mattered. You made a terrible movie, and it got what it deserved. It did. And so having, with that knowledge and with that burden relieved, I hope you can go forward and have a great new year. From the Fandom Menace.